Welcome to this explainer. Now, if you've been scrolling through your feeds or catching up on the news lately, you've almost certainly stumbled across a rumor that sounds, honestly, straight out of a dystopian sci-fi novel. We are talking about the completely viral claims that Google is out there actively dropping massive swarms of mosquitoes onto the public in Florida and California. Well, today we are going to unpack the actual real-world science behind this crazy story.
I mean, this is exactly the kind of dramatic claim we've been seeing pop up everywhere. Google plans to release millions of mosquitoes on humans across Florida. Okay, let's just pause for a second. Imagine a giant record scratch right here. Because while that headline is incredibly eye-catching, and let's be real, deliberately sensationalized to get your clicks, the actual grounded scientific reality is far more fascinating. We aren't looking at some reckless corporate experiment here. It's actually a highly sophisticated leap forward in public health technology.
To get our facts straight, let's look at the actual numbers. Alphabet's life sciences company, which is called Verily, has a long-running initiative called the Debug Project, and they've submitted a request to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. What they're asking for is an experimental use permit to release up to 32 million specially treated mosquitoes over a 2-year period in targeted areas of Florida and California. Now, 32 million, that is a massive scale, right? But it's designed to tackle a really persistent public health challenge head-on. But hey, before you go panic buying all the bug spray at your local store, there is one massive, absolute game-changer of a detail you need to know.
Here is the ultimate clickbait-busting fact. Every single one of those 32 million proposed mosquitoes is male. Why does that matter so much? Because male mosquitoes literally do not bite humans or animals. They completely lack the mouthparts to do it. They feed exclusively on flower nectar. It's only the female mosquitoes that require a blood meal to reproduce, which means only the females can transmit diseases. So by releasing exclusively males, this project guarantees absolutely zero increased biting pressure on residents. None.
Section 1. Nature's Trojan Horse. So you're probably wondering, if they don't bite, what exactly are these millions of male mosquitoes even supposed to do out there? Well, that brings us to the biology. These lab-reared males, they aren't some genetically modified mutants carrying lethal lab-made genes, and they haven't been irradiated to become sterile. Instead, they are infected with Wolbachia pipientis. Now, Wolbachia is a completely natural, extremely common bacterium that's already naturally found in tons of insect species all around the globe. It doesn't harm the mosquito at all, and it definitely doesn't make them aggressive. What it does do, however, is act like a natural reproductive barrier. Let's break down how this actually works. It's an incredibly clever population control method known as an inundative release strategy. Step 1, you raise up a ton of these Wolbachia-treated males. Step 2, you release them into the wild so they can mate with wild females who do not have the specific strain of bacteria. Step 3 is where the magic happens. It introduces a biological phenomenon called cytoplasmic incompatibility. To put it simply, because the male and the female carry completely different bacteria profiles, their genetics basically short-circuit. They don't align, and the resulting eggs simply fail to develop. They never hatch. So, step 4, over multiple generations of just flooding the area with these non-biting males, the wild, disease-carrying population totally crashes.
Now, the absolutely crucial point here is why this method is so desperately needed right now, especially in places like Florida that are battling mosquito-borne illnesses practically year-round. Look at traditional chemical pesticides. They have a really broad environmental footprint. When you spray, you can inadvertently harm beneficial insects like bees. Plus, over time, mosquitoes literally just build up a chemical resistance to the sprays anyway. The Wolbachia method, on the other hand, is perfectly species-specific. It leaves all the non-target species entirely untouched, and the whole effect naturally fades out the second you stop the releases. It's just a much gentler, far more sustainable solution.
Section 2. AI and robotic rearing.
Okay, so having a brilliant biological theory is one thing, but actually pulling it off at the scale of millions of insects, that requires a massive engineering feat. Verily basically turned traditional artisanal entomology into a high-tech manufacturing operation. Remember how we said it's absolutely critical that only males are released? Well, traditional manual sorting by human scientists is way too slow, and it's prone to errors. If even a tiny fraction of females slip through, you'd accidentally be releasing biting vectors. Not good. To solve this, Verily developed AI-powered computer vision systems that can sex sort these mosquitoes with flawless accuracy at unbelievable speeds. You combine that with automated robotic rearing facilities and GPS-enabled release software, and you have an unprecedented, data-driven operation. And if you're sitting there wondering if this sci-fi-sounding approach actually works in the real world, the data totally speaks for itself. The Debug initiative has actually been running for over a decade now.
In Singapore, trials that targeted dengue-carrying mosquitoes achieved a staggering 90% suppression rate. In California's Central Valley, they saw reductions approaching 95%. They've already proven that this technology works, and it works incredibly well against specific disease vectors.
Section 3. Florida's specific target.
So Verily is taking everything they've learned from over 10 years of proven success, and they're adapting it for a brand new target here in the States. Let's look at exactly who the enemy is in Florida. The target here is Culex fasciatus, which is more commonly known as the southern house mosquito. This specific little pest is a notorious vector for both the West Nile virus and St. Louis encephalitis. And unlike the daytime biters that spread things like dengue, these guys are highly active at dusk and dawn. They absolutely love to breed in urban and suburban water sources. We're talking storm drains, ditches, and any standing water containers right in our own neighborhoods. So targeting these very specific urban breeding grounds with precision robotics, that is quite literally a game changer for local public health districts.
Section 4. Safety and Ecological Impact.
Now, of course, if an experiment involving millions of insects is happening in your state, or maybe even in your own backyard, it is completely natural to have questions about the ecological impact. The number one question that comes up, and frankly, the exact question that fueled all that viral panic online is, will these released mosquitoes bite me or my pets?
And the answer is absolutely not. We literally cannot stress this enough. They are 100% males. Because they feed strictly on plant nectar, there is zero biological mechanism for these specific insects to increase biting activity in your neighborhood. You will not get a single bite from a Versailles mosquito. It's just not physically possible.
The second biggest concern we usually hear revolves around the broader environment. People rightly ask, hey, could the Wolbachia bacteria mutate or spread completely out of control and fundamentally alter the local ecosystem?
The answer here is also a firm, resounding no. This is incredibly important to understand. This entire program is a self-limiting strategy. It is not a replacement strategy where they are trying to establish a new permanent species out in the wild. Because the resulting offspring from these matings are completely non-viable. They just die before ever hatching. The Wolbachia bacterium hits a complete genetic dead end. If the project stops releasing these males, the effect just naturally fades away, leaving all the other non-target insects, our precious pollinators, and the local wildlife entirely unharmed.
It's also super important to realize that this isn't some secret plot happening in the shadows. The regulatory path is highly transparent and it's totally rooted in rigorous science. The official notice was published in the Federal Register back in May of 2026, and a public comment period ran all the way through June 5th. Right now, the EPA is rigorously reviewing the application. And keep in mind, this is an application for an experimental use permit. It's just to gather real-world data under strict monitoring. It is definitely not a permanent, unchecked statewide authorization.
Section 5. The future of vector control.
When we zoom out and look at the big picture, this initiative represents something so much larger than just mosquito control in a couple of states. It's a genuine glimpse into the future of human health and environmental innovation. It leaves us with a pretty profound question to chew on. How will we coexist with nature when artificial intelligence and biological engineering finally converge? We are literally standing at the threshold right now where sophisticated computer vision, robotics, and natural biological tools are teaming up to solve ancient human problems, and doing it without resorting to environmentally destructive chemicals. It's an incredibly hopeful frontier, don't you think?
We really hope this explainer has helped clear up all those sensational headlines for you and provided a solid, grounded grasp of the truly fascinating science actually at play here. For more, visit our website, Fair Solution. Thank you so much for joining me today, and stay curious.